Welcome to another episode of the Level Up Your Gym podcast. I'm your host, Joe Hashey, and today we are talking about 3 ways you can manage your gym business through COVID and set yourself up for success afterwards. And those 3 ways we're going to talk about is communications to members, offerings and what you can provide for them, and marketing strategies. So it's going to be a big podcast with a lot of content, but I'm going to try to keep it to 15 minutes for you so it can be actionable and you can take some notes on it. So the first piece is probably the most important, and it anchors the other 2, and that's the communication strategies you choose to implement with your members and the local community. Because this is such a fluid time where there is some civic responsibility to do good in your community, it is communication beyond your four walls of your brick and mortars gyms. So here's what I mean by communication. We're going to get different news up and down, opening us, closing us, limiting capacity, different regulations, different news stories about spreads in local businesses, different news stories supporting local business and the lack of spread in certain industries. So it's all a roller coaster. So the communication strategy we choose to implement is a no drama, clear communication to your members. And by no drama, I mean you're not taking a hard stance or getting emotional about the roller coaster that we're on. So if an article comes out that says gyms are closed, I'm not going to hop on a call with my members or make a Facebook post or send out an emotional email. Oh, I don't know why this is happening. This is so frustrating. This is so crippling for small business. All those things need to be acknowledged. But just like when you're running a session, those aren't things you would say to a member where you have to check your issues at the door, and it shouldn't be something you communicate to your members overall. You need to take whatever time you need to digest it and then provide clear, no drama communication to your members. For example, let's say you get the news that you need to close today at 6. Your communication might be, we did get the unfortunate news that our gym needs to close today at 6 p.m. by state mandate, but we are going to provide 3 things for you because your fitness is much more important than these temporary ups and downs of this news cycle. So you're going to be provided with our online training. Our members are going to reach out and touch base with everyone personally to see how you're doing, and we're going to provide personal training option online. I'm going to get those details out to you within 24 hours, but I'm excited to help you guide your fitness during this time. So that would be an example of a drama-free, clear communication that you can provide your members if something negative happens. Now, what should those offerings be that you can actually give them in a very quick time? Because it's going to be much more important to react quickly than it will be to create some beautiful, elegant software app that might be able to deliver some workouts to them, but it'll take 3 months to develop. You need to be able to deliver workouts to them within 24 hours. So here are some offerings that you might want to consider during this time and even temporarily after, because there's going to be a certain percentage of your members that won't return until all the guidelines are lifted. There are a certain part of your members who will do home workouts during this time, and there's an opportunity for you to provide them there. There's a certain amount of your members who don't care and they want to come in. You need to respect all those opinions as a small business. You're welcome to your own personal thoughts on those. But you need to meet people where they're at, and don't say, well, nobody wants to come in. Well, there are some people. Nobody wants to work out at home. Well, some of them do. So you need multiple offerings. And here's what I suggest. If you're able to have an in-person offering, have that. If you're able to do an outside offering, survey your members. And if they want to come to that, do that too. But here's 2 pieces that I want to add today. You should have an online offering, and you should have a hybrid offering. So the online offering is something they can do exclusively from their home. Simple solutions would be Facebook Live or YouTube, or perhaps Zoom if you're doing one-on-one or small group training, where you can hold them accountable and give them some more form feedback through Zoom because you're able to watch them too. The struggles that I've seen some business owners go through is that people don't turn their camera on during Zoom, and their schedules are so wild that they can't attend a structured time, and therefore they're caught doing a bunch of Zooms to fulfill 3 or 4 different training hours when they would normally do it in one. So you have to take into account your own personal capacity, and that's why we've been leaning towards a Facebook Live or a YouTube Live, and then having that recording available for anyone who wants to do the workout throughout the day. And we do that to either our email list with an unlisted YouTube video, or our Facebook members group, which you should have, but if you don't have, you won't be able to do that option. So we make the Facebook Live available to them there. Here's what I mean by a hybrid option. I do believe this will be the future for at least 2021, where you have an option for them to come into your regular sessions and do some online. I would not discount packages, especially if you're doing small group training. I would highly suggest you don't discount your packages if you're doing large group training either. Well, let's say someone signs up for 3 sessions a week with you. The hybrid option will allow them to do 2 sessions in person and 1 online, 1 in person and 2 online, all online for a week, all in person for a week. You have to give them that flexibility so that you're providing those workouts for them, but they're not considering holding based on if the child was exposed at school or they were exposed at work and they need to quarantine for 14 days. When you take away that flexibility, it's going to cost you a lot of memberships, and it's going to cost you a lot of reactivations, which we'll get into in the marketing piece. So for the offerings, I'm talking online, in person, and a hybrid approach of each. And to make your life easier, I would make them all the same price structure, unless you're extremely at the high end. And I would consider keeping that hybrid option even when the restrictions are lifted, as long as some people are using them. The next piece is going to be the marketing piece. During this time, it's tough to get a cold lead to sign up to your gym business. It's tough in a regular situation to get a cold lead to sign up to your gym business because they need to, number 1, feel the motivation to go get started. Number 2, have the realization that it's something they want to do. Number 3, choose that you're the right place. Number 4, overcome the anxiety of going into a new place, being vulnerable, and start a fitness routine. And number 5, check off all the boxes that your program's hours and prices are fit for them. So there's different ways to nurture people through that sequence, but the added friction right now is that they also need to be convinced that it's safe, and they also need to be convinced that you take your guidelines seriously, and they also need to be convinced that other members take your guidelines seriously. So there's a bunch of hoops for them to jump through to be able to come in. And if you're spending a lot of money on Facebook advertising or Google ads right now or YouTube ads, we've seen in our advertising the cost tick up a little bit. Yes, it's the political season and there's more competition, but that's kind of over right now for ad spend. But there's just too much friction for them to raise their hand and say yes. So here's what I would recommend focusing on. Number 1, reactivations. Your business system should have a plan written down on how to reactivate members who leave. That should include asking them why they left when they do leave and setting up a time to follow up with them. Most members don't leave because they hate you. Most members simply leave because there's something going on in their life that's preventing them to come in. It could be as simple as, I'm really busy at work for the next couple months, so I don't want to spend money on the membership. Say, cool, I'll put your membership on hold for 2 months, and then I'll follow up with you then. Is that cool? So you set up that time frame to reactivate. You need to segment your list so you have a list of people you need to reactivate, and you need to have a calendar, whether it's a digital one or a desktop one like I'm sitting at in one of our offices right now, that has their name on that calendar on when you need to reach out to them. There's no better time to start this than now, because you're going to have a lot of easy ones who simply will reactivate as soon as they feel safe, and you can check in with them periodically to see how they're doing. The next thing you should be doing is upgrade members. So if you need some revenue quickly, you probably aren't full in your sessions right now, but you're serving them anyways. You're investing the labor hour, you're investing all the fixed costs associated with having a building and a business running, but your sessions aren't full. So there is no harm in saying to some of your best members who you want to continue more often, you've been coming twice a week? Well, that's great. You know what? For the holiday season, for December or for January or for the rest of the month or whatever your reason is, I want to upgrade you to 3 times a week. You can enjoy the extra sessions on the house. You don't have to continue afterwards by any means, but I'll just check in with you at the end and see if you're reaching your results or reaching towards your results, or you're happy with the extra session or whatever you want to use with them. Since you're there anyways, you might as well have the opportunity to upgrade them. Now, both those strategies that I've talked about already have 0 ad costs. You want to reactivate, you want to upgrade, and the last one is you want to get referrals, because you need people to know, like, and trust you. It's tough to do right now with external paid ads. It is easier to do with a member vouching for you with someone else and saying, you know what, I know, like, and trust this business. You should come in and try it out. So you need to actually have an active referral strategy, and don't shovel me that stuff that says, well, I get most of my members through referrals, and everyone knows they can just bring a buddy. Has to be more active than that. Could be a spouse week, could be a kids week, a daughter week, bring your daughter week, bring your son week. Whatever it is, you need to be active about it, so you're talking about it frequently. And when someone brings in a guest and they sign up, you make sure to shout out the person that brought them in. So you are reinforcing the behavior that you would like to see and thanking them and giving them that extra feeling of satisfaction. You don't need to have a complicated, if this person comes and that X person signs up, then I'll give you 10% off your membership. And if you bring this person, I'll give you 15. That's all too complicated right now. If you're taking care of the clear communications like we talked about, and you're providing offerings to reach them that we already talked about, then you're going to have the goodwill and the marketing piece that you need to continue growing your business through and long after COVID. Now, I have a video series for you at levelupyourgym.com that'll give you daily tips and other things on communication, offerings, and marketing that can really help you out. Now, this is a big topic, so I want to spend a couple videos talking about it, but I also need to know what your questions are. So there's our overall strategy. I already laid it out. Communicate, have the right offerings, have the right marketing, but one of those might be tripping you up. Shoot me an email at joe@levelupyourgym.com. or send us a message right to the Facebook page at levelupyourgym.com, and I will shoot a separate podcast on a question and answer so we can go as in-depth as you want. Make sure, if you enjoy the podcast, give it a review, and I look forward to talking to you on the next episode.